I think my experience of Native American representation in media is whenever there is a political or a social issue that comes up. Of course, most recently I'm thinking about the DAPL, the pipeline issue, and it looks to me like the representation has been one of sides, the Native American perspective, and what the water protectors are trying to achieve versus the police and the politicians and the oil companies. And I think there's been a fair representation on the DAPL issue, I hope. And at the least, it provides an opportunity for people to think about different perspectives.
I don't think I have an opinion on the giving a blanket answer, because I think that they're portrayed in many different ways depending on the media.
I feel like Native Americans are represented in the media it's more romanticized a lot of times. Like, we can talk to animals, like we have all this money, like the government or whatnot, or like we have like these supernatural gifts sometimes, and so it's like misappropriated.
I feel that in media, Native Americans are over-sexualized a lot of the time. Like, especially when you see festivals like Calcella and things like that, you have the headdresses, which are traditional, being used in a sexual connotation, and I think that's not cool.
Headdresses are like meant to honor someone. It's like the equivalent of a medal earned in war, and so but people are like to wear them to like Coachella or music festivals, or they like to dress up for Halloween as an Indian, and so most people like I myself have a problem with that, because if you don't understand where it came from, then don't try and act like you do. Don't take it upon yourself. It's like, this is mine, whenever it's not.
Right now, I feel like the representation is a little bit more positive. It shows that we're strong, that we know how to hold our own.
Well, I think one of the challenges with news today is we've sort of become this fast food consumerist society that doesn't much have the appetite or the attention span to explore issues in depth and have a true understanding of how people think and feel about issues, to understand the history behind, again, for example, the DAPL matter. You'd need to look to some historical reference points. So actually, I think the representation is not realistic, but that's simply because we want sound bites as consumers of news today.
I don't think that the way that Native Americans are represented in media is realistic at all.
I've seen it done well, or what I consider it to be done well, and most of the time that's when I think natives play a role behind the camera, in front of the camera, and have a say in all aspects. I think if you're going to be telling somebody's story, they need to be the ones telling it.
I think the best represented aspects of Native American culture and society and history are those times that the different sovereign nations take it upon themselves to tell their own story. So whether it is a commercial that's put forward by a nation, or a news story showing sponsorship of a business or some sort of endeavor, that's when I think the sovereign nations shine, is when they're in control of the story.
I think the most places that are well representative is like when tribes represent themselves in a manner, like whenever they have their own museums, whenever they have their own centers, visiting centers, because otherwise you're trying to get in a broad aspect of it, you don't get really in depth to what a nation is.
I feel like the aspect of Native American culture that is represented accurately is the sense of community, and in some instances the strength that Natives have when it comes to oppression and things like that, like what's happening with the coverage of the Dakota Access Pipeline and what's going on there.
feel like they don't show enough that we are highly diverse and that we're not just clubbed together as like one Native, like just Native Americans. We're all different people. We come from different tribes, and there's like different aspects that are very represented.
I think generalizing and making blanket statements about culture, since there are over 500 federally recognized tribes in the United States alone, I think it's poorly done when you make wide generalizations about Native culture.
I feel like there's just this stereotypical image of a Native American that's portrayed in media, like of being overly spiritual or something of that nature. That's like put in movies as a archetype, and that's the main thing. There's so many things within that archetype that I really can't like say it well.
Our earliest like thing is like Disney movies as kids, like, and so like Pocahontas, like in there is like this young woman, and she like talks to Mother Willow. She has this pet raccoon and stuff like that. So like we don't talk to trees. I mean you can if you want to. That's your thing, but that's not all of us.
I think taking culture out of context and using it for entertainment without the people whose culture it is having a say in it, I think that's poor.
I think that they should be projected as normal people like anybody else in media. Like, their cultural identity shouldn't be whitewashed away, but they should just be seen as regular individuals.
I think the media needs to show that we are here and that we are different people. We have a very vast and very different culture, especially like among different tribes, and I really think that that is what needs to be shown, and especially now after everything with the Dakota Access Pipeline, I think that it's just very important that we continue to fight for what we believe is right.
I think we should be projected as like what we are. We're like basically like citizens of two worlds. We got our like culture, and we got the modern world that we were brought up into. Like, we're struggling most times to balance them, to be more culturally like active, to know our history, to know our language, to know our dress, but we're also like trying to advance our lives. And so we got like doctors, we have lawyers, we have engineers, we have astronauts. So I think being positive with those and like saying like, I am this, but I'm also this.
However, they choose to be protected.
On reservations or in like lower income areas, and they don't know like what they can amount to or what they can like accomplish if they don't see us in there.
I think every time you see activism result in a victory of sorts, then I think that the group that is promoting a particular issue, it is empowered and is maybe hopefully respected more and listened to more, because it's not a group to be so easily dismissed or abused. And so yes, absolutely, the story is everything. The narrative is everything.
I think that showing us what the general public thinks of us is shown through like things like the Halloween costumes and the mascots, and I feel like that does affect a lot of the Native American populations, because it makes us understand that we are not seen as a people. We are not seen as anything but like a costume, and I think that that's something that we really need to work on.
I think that it does on a subliminal level. It may not be as overt, but covertly people internalize what they see in the media, and it shapes the interactions that they have with Native Americans in their daily life.